The purpose of this presentation is to inform you about the reusable and disposable bottle habits at the University of Washington. This presentation will share the results of my survey research while expanding upon the results that I learned from my field research and interviews. My survey was meant to validate, extend, elaborate, and confirm the results from these previous research stages and specifically from the interview stage. Overall, my survey topic was about disposable and reusable bottle habits in the context of sustainability efforts by the University of Washington campus and students, with a focus on sustainability and the UW's effect. My overall design question was, how can the University of Washington reduce the number of students using disposable bottles on their campus? Throughout all of my interviews and field researches, I learned that there are a plethora of bottle displays throughout all of campus. Disposable bottles are available in multiple different colors. Refill locations for reusable bottles are often unclear and difficult to find. Reusable bottle purchase among students is rare. Disposable bottles have multiple different forms of conveniences that encourage their use. And finally, users prefer reusable bottles due to their environmental impact and convenience. My higher level research questions for this survey were, how do environmental consciousness affect bottle usages, and how does UW affect when and why students purchase disposable bottles? These are also the themes and focuses for my survey. To complete the survey, I created a Google form and recruited about 27 participants by posting my survey on Facebook groups, such as the ones listed below. Some of my survey questions were a mixture of ranking, rating, multiple choice, and open-ended questions to obtain a multitude of different forms of answers and responses. Some of the limitations that I experienced through this survey was that there was a selection bias due to the fact that the majority of people that answered were most likely those who were passionate about sustainability and would be willing to devote their time to answering questions about it. The results that I finally gathered were 24 full-time UW students and 3 students that claimed not to be full-time and therefore were inadmissible for my data. Multiple different majors responded to my survey, including 3 HCE students, 2 nursing students, 2 biology students, and a multitude of others, including environmental studies, English, chemistry, and business. The vast majority of my students seemed environmentally conscious and seemed to care about their impact. The first result of my survey was that there is a rarity of reusable bottle purchase on campus. I found that while 19 students did buy their bottle themselves, only 8 of them received them as free or as a gift. And out of all of the 27 participants who answered my survey, 0 bought them from the University of Washington campus. This means that the University of Washington does not provide opportunities to buy reusable bottles on campus. This may be because there is not enough demand. However, from other results through this survey, I learned that people still bottle purchase. The University of Washington still sells a multitude of disposable bottles on campus, even though 80% of my participants claimed that they never purchased disposable bottles on campus. Therefore, even though demand seems to be low for reusable bottle purchase, this may not actually be the case. Due to this result, I recommend that University of Washington provide a few different options for students to purchase inexpensive reusable bottles on campus. These prices should not be far more expensive than their disposable alternatives, or it will discourage people from buying these disposable bottles. There should be a variety of prices and models to add diversity and encourage more people to purchase, and this would also provide an alternative option to purchasing a disposable bottle out of convenience. To make this easier for the University of Washington, they could potentially partner with a distributor to make the sales cheaper for students. My second result from my survey was that University of Washington has a big effect on environmental consciousness. Out of all of the forms that I provided my respondents to list how they received their knowledge about sustainability education, only 10 of them claimed that they got their knowledge from the University of Washington, and the majority of them claimed that they learned from elsewhere. Additionally, the vast majority of my participants claimed that their knowledge about sustainability is not very high. In fact, 8 participants claimed that it was the lowest possible out of 1. This result demonstrates that UW has a huge responsibility of teaching students about sustainability. In order to increase the results in the second bar graph that I demonstrated, we need to have an option for students to learn more about sustainability. This leads to my recommendation that the University of Washington should create mandatory sustainability classes and add them to the general ed requirements along with writing, natural world, diversity, and other examples. This will assure that all students are educated about the important sustainability concepts that will encourage their smart bottle usage. Educated students may better understand the consequences of their actions and therefore make smarter and better sustainable choices. Finally, the last result of my survey research was that disposable bottles are very convenient. This result confirmed one of the main interview results that I got in the last stage of my research. My question asked participants to rank a multitude of factors that led to their usage of disposable bottles. Convenience was one of the highest rated, and other factors such as the fact that they don't like carrying reusable bottles around to classes, and that they are cheaper and that they need to take a bottle to class also relate to convenience. This means that there are important factors to take into consideration before completely removing disposable bottles, and also that disposable bottles offer some value to students. Therefore, in order to decrease the amount of disposable bottles, we need to make sure that this convenience is not taken away from students when we increase the amount of reusable bottles that are available on campus. We need to provide options to counteract losses of convenience by, for example, using light reusable bottles that are easy to take to class, or selling pre-filled reusable bottles. By making sure that we do not take away these conveniences, we can assure that reusable use will still rise and not be replaced by at-home disposable options that may be brought to campus. Finally, the next steps of my research are to evaluate how the sale of sugary drinks may affect the usage of disposable bottles. While I didn't intend it to, my research ended up being primarily about water. Sugary drinks are also an important aspect to this issue that should be evaluated, and where my survey and interview questions did not as well. Another follow-up research question would be, how does banning the sale of disposable bottles affect the amount of disposable bottles on a college campus? To evaluate this question, we must evaluate campus that has already banned the sale of disposable bottles to see how it worked out for them. It's important to analyze how the students feel about the ban and also how the ban helped disposable bottles either survive or be eliminated. Additionally, it's important to analyze whether this change actually helped the sustainability of the campus overall. Finally, in future surveys, I would like to vet my questions a little further to make sure that they are communicating exactly what I want them to, and that my participants understand what I am trying to ask them. At the beginning of my survey, I received some feedback that some of my questions were difficult to answer or didn't seem like they were asking what I meant them to. since this happened somewhere in the middle of my survey recruiting, I chose not to change my questions so as not to affect the answers that I got. I was worried that changing my answers halfway through would skew my data and make it difficult to create results and trends. Additionally, what surprised me about this survey was that recruiting people was not as difficult as I originally expected. Most respondents were collected on the first day of recruiting, and I received 27 respondents within 3 days of posting my survey online. Finally, the most fun part about my survey for me was reading the responses to my survey and seeing what people had to say. It was really fun putting a topic out there and seeing so many people interested in it and providing lots of different information that I didn't expect to get. Thank you.